First, what I'd like to do is to give you the whole story behind how we created HCL. And through that period, what I'd like to do is point out to you a lot of areas where we succeeded and some areas where we did not succeed, and what did we do when we did not succeed, and what were the strategies to initially create the company, and what are the strategies used later to scale the company. So to start with, we really were 6 people who used to work with a company called DCM. And we were all working for DCM. And one day we decided that we don't want to work for anybody and we'd like to do something on our own. So we sort of put together a complete business plan of what we want to do. And we collected money from each other because there was those days there was nothing called angels, there was nothing called VCs, none of those things existed. So funding was a very, very difficult task those days. So we just put together a total princely sum of 1.86 lakhs. Somebody sold a car, somebody borrowed from PF, etc., etc. Somebody gave money from the family, etc. So 1.86 lakhs is what we started with. And our dream was to create a computer company. And at that stage, it was a license Raj in the country. If you actually wanted to start a manufacturing company or a computer company, you needed a license to manufacture. And therefore, it was a very tall task to get it started. So initially, since our funding was also low, we were not known. And hence what we did was that we took that 1.86 lakhs, started an initial marketing company called Microcom. And with that company, we created a calculator business. In the meantime, we kept looking for how to do the computer business. So having started with the calculator business, we created quite a lot of funds that were needed for starting the computer company. And then we went on to look for how to start the computer company. And those days, since licensing was required, we were a very small company. We somehow found out that the UP government was sitting on a license and they didn't know what to do with that license for manufacturing. So we sort of went to them and said, why don't we partner with each other and take it forward? And after a while, when we went on to the discussions, the government very quickly agreed to form a joint sector company. And this joint sector company was then set up by us in 1976. And that's how the journey of HCL started. It was 1975 when we started the small little company, which was Microcom. And it was those days emergency time. So I still remember that it was a very different time than today, and very interesting times because everything worked because of emergency. So despite the emergency, we could get started. And as we were looking for this license and we got that license, we were going forward. But during this emergency, a lot of things were happening. I mean, I just want to recall some of those things. It was, everybody was put behind bars, and all the politics was literally closed, and the only politics that existed was the government itself. And so 1975 was a very closed market. No imports were allowed for technology. There were just 100 computers in the country. And as I said, there were no angels or VCs. So as we got to this agreement with the UP government, we said the idea should be that we should take the microprocessor and change the world. That was our dream. And those days, the microprocessor was just making its appearance. So we said, we will create all computers around the microprocessor, because till that time, there was nothing called a microprocessor. So we took this whole idea and we went forward and we created HCL. Now, this is the first 6 of us. These are the 6 people who actually started the company. This picture is not from the beginning, but it's about a few years later. These are the only pictures I could locate, so I put it in my presentation. And then this was the place where we actually started. Those days in Delhi, there used to be something called a barsati, which was on top of the house. And that's where you could see the rainfall. So it was called Barsati. And this is the only thing that we owned: one desk, one chair, and a few places to sit. So this is exactly where we started. Of course, you see a couple of phones here at that time. There used to be no phones, actually. This picture was taken a little later. So that's how we got started with 1.86 lakhs. And once we sort of agreed with the UP government, we created Hindustan Computers. Now, I would like to spend a little bit of time on why we called it Hindustan Computers Limited. Because the first thing that we wanted to do was to look bigger than what we were. We were a very small startup. And as a startup, who is going to allow you to enter your office that easily if you are not a big company? And those days, there were very large companies in computers like IBM, ICL, etc., etc. So we said, we need to have a name which gets us inside the door. And therefore, we called ourselves Hindustan Computers Limited. Now, Hindustan name was not given to startups those days. It was not allowed. You could either be a government company or you had to be a very large company like Hindustan Levers. But we were a joint sector company, so we managed to get this name. And naming your company is a very important decision that you should take when you're actually starting your company, because it should have some meaning with what you're doing, and it should have some strategy behind naming the company. And therefore, we wanted to be the company in the country which represented computing. And that's why we called it Hindustan Computers. This sort of gives you an idea of the first agreement that we signed with the UP government, and we started the joint sector company. Now, when we actually got started, we had a bunch of 6 of us, and we wanted to get more people on board. So we were actually wanting to create a 4-bit microprocessor. This whole idea was born by the fact that initially we wanted to go to organizations which will believe in engineers. And we wanted to therefore go to organizations like IITs, NITs. Those days it was not called NITs, it was called RECs, engineering colleges, research institutions, because these are the people who would actually believe in a startup like ours. So we started to create this 4-bit microprocessor. And as we were creating this product, we started marketing it. But as we were starting to market it, we needed good people for marketing. So just 6 people is not going to be enough. We needed to create an organization. So we started creating that organization. And the first thing that we did was to actually go and hire 5 people from IIMs. Now, for a startup to go and hire people from IIMs was a very tall task those days. But we walked into an IIM and we went there, and a lot of them started asking, the students started asking us, why should we join you? So we said, look, you join HCL for adventure. This is not what you're going to get from any other company. You join for adventure. And that's really what we are doing for you. And number 2, you'll get the highest salary in the country. Just imagine what the highest salary those days was. It was 2,000 rupees. But that was the highest salary. And all of us were drawing less salary than 2,000. So that's how the company got started, with some great people who came in from IIMs and came in to market the company. And the first thing that we actually did was to create a beautiful brochure. Product didn't exist. And we still had to sell because we didn't have enough money to last. So we said, let's start selling the product even before the product is created. So we created a very good looking brochure. We did a lot of marketing. We came up with full page ads and all kinds of things that we were doing. And then we started to go to IITs, etc. And you would be surprised that without a product, we still got orders. So a lot of people today tell me, I don't have the product ready. I can't do it this way. I need more resources. And I always say, A is greater than R. Aspirations is what makes a company. And resources happen if you need to make them happen. So A is greater than R is what my formula has been literally from those days. And then we started getting more and more orders, even without a product. Some professors told us, but where is your product? We said, it's in the lab. If you still want to see it, come to Delhi, we'll show it to you. Now, those days, there were no simulations. So we actually had a breadboard model working in the R&D, and we would show them a few things. So that's how we got started. And of course, the one condition that a lot of the institutes put on us was that you must deliver before 31st March, because that's when our government financial year ends. And if you can't deliver before that, our funds will be lost. You'll be surprised. 28th of March, I was that time looking after the South. I got orders from IIT Madras. I personally went to the airport, picked up our first few products, put it in my beat up old Fiat, took it to the IIT and delivered it myself. And that's how you start a company. That's what a startup is all about. So you need to do everything in the beginning, and then of course the organization grows. So that's how we created our first product, very successful in the engineering scientific marketplace. And then we sort of moved on as things started changing again. March 1976, the emergency was withdrawn, Janata Party came in, few changes happened. And the market, in a manner, started opening up. And the government took a decision to throw IBM out and throw Coca-Cola out. Now, that was a great opportunity. We had never planned for this. And suddenly we had this terrific opportunity of IBM leaving the country. So we actually created an 8-bit commercial computer and added a product called the data entry machine, which could, in a manner, emulate the IBM. And so we could as easily go and replace some of these old IBM products and get into the commercial market. So that's how we got the market going. So that's what first time we started to do in 1977, 78. We addressed the first time user market and then the data processing market with hardware and application software bundle. We used to actually sell a solution. We were not just selling a box. So we would go to a customer, and those days, you know, as I said, when we started, there were just 100 computers in the country. So you had to actually sell the concept of buying a computer. So that's what you do in the beginning. If you create something different, you need to go and do a lot of concept selling. And that's what you train your salespeople for. So if any of you are creating something new, look at the fact that initially when you create the market, you have to go and do the concept selling. And if you are first in the market, the benefit is that you get a larger market share. So don't be scared if it's our first product. It's the time to actually go and grab the market. And that's what we did. Competition was not small. We had Sarabhai's as a competition. We had Tata's as competition. We had DCM as competition. We had ICL as competition. So it's not that competition was not there. But what I've always believed that if you have competition, the market expands. And that's what really happened. And that's what you should be very positive about. You should never worry about competition. Competition makes the market bigger and bigger. So come 1980, we were in a plane ride and we were sort of going to Singapore, and this the Economic Development Board of people met us there. And then they said, hey, you guys are in computers. Why don't you come and set up in Singapore? And we said, look, we are very small. We just started our business. They said, no, come and talk to us. So we went and talked to them and they said, you come and set up a factory here. We'll let you manufacture computers here. We'll give you all kinds of benefits. We'll give you a flathead factory. We'll give you income tax zero, whatever you want. So we were very excited. We said, my God, this looks interesting. But we were just a 3 crore company. So we said, okay, let's check it out. So what we did was we did some market research. And we found that the situation is very similar to India. People were not looking for computers. They were looking for computerization. So we actually created a complete strategy around computerization. And we went to manufacture our computers in Singapore. So, you know, for a hardware company, 1980 to go abroad and manufacture computers, nobody had ever heard of. But, you know, those are the kind of risks that you take when you're so young. And that's when you actually take such risks. So very interesting. Those were times, very interesting times. And since 80% of people in Singapore were Chinese, और अगर जब Chinese लोग होते हैं तो आपको एक decision जरूर लेना पड़ता है कि product का नाम क्या दिया जाए. So the first thing that we did was we changed the name from India and we called it Abacus. Abacus is a way that you actually measure, you know, compute things in China. So हम उस Abacus के नाम पे उस product को आगे ले गए. And our target was to sell $1 million in first 6 months. And actually we did that. And we actually set up an export software factory in Madras. Nobody had heard of software factories those days. We set it up. So that's how we started the whole idea of looking at global markets. Come back to India. India market was still new, large, untapped. And we said, we need to be the first to spend time on creating the market. And that's what entrepreneurs do. They create markets. And if entrepreneurs don't get into it, a lot of people don't go about creating markets. Large companies sometimes get get carried away with their baggage and they don't create markets. The small companies create markets and they do it in a very different way. So that's what happened with us. We started creating the Indian market. And how did we go about doing that? When there was very small market in the country. So we said, let's see what are the people thinking about today. Why do they not buy computers? नहीं खरीदते computers. तो हमने सोचा कि भाई सबसे पहले हम फर्स्ट टाइम यूजर्स के पास जाएंगे जिन्होंने कभी कंप्यूटर खरीदा ही नहीं है. और इन छोटी कंपनीज में लोग डिसीजन कैसे लेते हैं? एक बंदा डिसीजन लेता है, हु इज द बॉस इन द कंपनी. तो हम चाहेंगे इसको हमको इन्फ्लुएंस करना पड़ेगा. तीसरी चीज हमने सोचा कि ये तो लोग सोचते हैं कंप्यूटर बहुत, ये है क्या चीज, कैसे यूज करेंगे हम, क्या क्या करें हम इसके साथ, और ये तो बहुत महंगा होगा. तो ये सब, these were the thoughts that were there when we did this research, and we said we have to break these myths and we have to open up the market. So we said, if these are the concerns that people have, we need to remove these concerns. So we decided on a very imaginative advertising campaign. And those days, there was nothing called a full page ad in India. We actually came up with a full page ad to launch the new product. And that's what we said. हमने ये बोला कि कंप्यूटर इतना इजी होता है कि एक टाइपिस्ट भी ऑपरेट कर सकता है उसको, और वो हमारा ऐड था. ओके, उससे हमको बहुत लोगों ने सोचा कि अरे भाई ये तो मुश्किल नहीं लगता, ये तो हम खुद ऑपरेट कर सकते हैं, टाइपिस्ट को लगा सकते हैं. तो अगर टाइपिस्ट कर सकता है तो ये कंप्यूटर कैन नॉट बी दैट डिफिकल्ट. दूसरी चीज हमने ये करी कि हमने बोला कि अगर आप 50 लाख की भी कंपनी हो, हम आपको कैलकुलेट करके बता देंगे कि इससे आपको क्या प्रॉफिट मिलेगा, क्या आपका रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट होगा. तो हमारे सेल्स लोगों को हमने ट्रेन किया कि हर कंपनी के पास जाके उनका आप ROI निकालिए, रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट, और हम उनको प्रूव कर देंगे कि ये इट इज वर्थ बाइंग अ कंप्यूटर. So this is how you create markets. You know, you sort of go and do things which have not been done before. And the third thing that we did was that we started getting business. So we started to say, हमने तो 55 कंपनी को बेच दिया है, आप भी आके लीजिए. So again, people felt comfortable in buying. And lastly, we were the first company in the country to start an EMI scheme. तो हमने बोला कि भाई आपका कंप्यूटर इतना महंगा नहीं है, 3,500 पर मंथ दीजिए और हम आपको कंप्यूटर दे देंगे. तो हमने जाके IDBI के साथ एक एग्रीमेंट किया, IDBI रीडिस्काउंटिंग स्कीम चलाई और सारे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनीज को हमने 3,500 रुपए के बेसिस पे बेच दिया. तो इतना अच्छा मार्केट क्रिएट हुआ इससे कि हमारे पास 10,000 इंक्वायरी आई. और उन दिनों 10,000 इंक्वायरी बहुत होता था. There was nothing called Facebook, there was nothing called social media. हम तो सिर्फ इंक्वायरी ले रहे थे. और आप इमेजिन करिए, उन दिनों हमारी प्राइस 3,64,000 थी कंप्यूटर की, which is 18 times the price of an Ambassador car at that time. So that's really what we were selling. But that's how successful we were with our strategy of opening up the market with a completely different kind of strategy. And then, since the inquiries were so many, we could not reach all over the country. So what do? We started doing what are called road shows. तो हम लोग जाके छोटे छोटे शहरों में, छोटी छोटी जगह में होटल रूम्स बुक करके लोगों को बुला के कंप्यूटर दिखा के और ऑर्डर क्लोज करते थे. तो इस तरह से हमने नया एक मॉडल शुरू किया, which was again not done by that time. So we sort of created strategies to actually go after the market. Then we went from 84 to 89. 84, Rajiv Gandhi came in and he announced this new computer policy, which everything got changed. And that's really what happens in every company. You need to be clear that change is going to happen sometime or the other. You cannot be thinking सब कुछ वैसे का वैसा ही चलता रहेगा. कभी ऊपर जाएंगे, कभी नीचे जाएंगे, कभी आपको फायदा होगा, कभी नुकसान होगा. ये सब पार्ट ऑफ क्रिएटिंग अ बिजनेस है. इससे कभी घबराना नहीं चाहिए. तो जब हमने सोचा कि भाई राजीव गांधी ने नई कंप्यूटर पॉलिसी बना ली है, so we said, okay, we'll fall in line. We'll create computers around standards. We don't have to write our own operating system. हम जो बाहर से है हम उसकी टेक्नोलॉजी लाएंगे, तो हम यूनिक्स लाए बैंक्स के लिए, और हम रिलेशनल डेटाबेस क्रिएट किए, हमने सब कुछ किया जो रिक्वायर्ड था उन दिनों। पर एक हमारी को बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग सिचुएशन आई, वो ये थी कि हमको बहुत बड़े ऑर्डर्स मिलने वाले थे लाइफ इंश्योरेंस कॉर्पोरेशन से, और लाइफ इंश्योरेंस कॉर्पोरेशन में यूनियन बड़ी स्ट्रांग थी। सो द यूनियन टोल्ड अस दैट लुक, वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू बाय कंप्यूटर्स, यू डू व्हाट यू लाइक, वी विल नॉट अलाउ इट। So we said, okay, don't allow us to buy computers. So we went back to the drawing board and we created something called an ALPM. It is Advanced Ledger Posting Machine. हमने क्या किया कि कंप्यूटर के सारे बेल्स एंड विसल्स काट के उनकी एप्लीकेशन के लिए एक प्रोडक्ट बना दिया, उसको हमने ALPM बोल दिया, उसका नाम कंप्यूटर था ही। So union had no objection. So that's how what you do as an organization. You need to come with strategies which can win the business. And that's really how you create companies, because you have to be on your feet to look at the market, understand the market, और किस तरह से market को win करना. And you'll be surprised, in 10 years from starting the company, we were the largest computer company in the country. Okay, and we won the DataQuest award for the top company in the country. And then, of course, things started changing. Change is the only constant, as I always say, and everybody knows that. So 89 major things happened. Berlin Wall crumbled, Cold War ended, 89 Dalai Lama earned the Peace Prize, and of course, Sachin made his debut. And VP Singh became the Prime Minister. So things changed all over again. Okay, away from Congress to back to Janata Party. It doesn't matter. You are in business. You should not worry about all these things that are happening around you. You should create strategies to take advantage of the situation rather than be worried about it. So fundamentally, that's what we did. 89, 90. We figured out that there are opportunities outside the country which we had started in Singapore, but we had left it there. We said, Singapore se hum gaye, Malaysia gaye, Thailand gaye, China guy, etc., etc. We did a lot of business there. But then McKinsey was entering the country. And McKinsey, as you know, is the largest consulting company in the world. So they were entering the country and they came to us and said, we'd like to do a project with you because you are the largest computer company in the country. So we said, but you guys are too expensive. We can't afford you. So they said, no. Don't worry. We'll do it absolutely free. But we want to do a project. So we said, okay, tell us what you'd like to do. So they studied our systems, they understood our products, they did everything. And then they came up with this grand idea that we should enter the American market. Now that's sort of saying we want to take coal to Newcastle. It's a very big thing to do. And it was a huge decision for us because we were still very small. And how would we go to the US and sell our computers? It's like going to the place where computers are born. That you're actually going to manufacture there. But no, they said it made sense. You had a great product, come to the US. So we went and borrowed 5 crores from ICICI Bank and we set up our manufacturing facility in Silicon Valley. Okay, so we start manufacturing computers, we start marketing computers, we got lots of orders. But then suddenly something happened. And what that thing that happened was that our hardware was not acceptable to the government in America because they said your design does not take care of certain emissions which are not allowed in the US. So there we were, having spent the money, having created the market, having got orders, having started manufacturing, and we suddenly can't do business. So we had to do something which was different. We had to give up hardware. So we pivoted to software. And that's what startups do. When they get into an issue with what is happening at a particular time and their strategy is not working, they need to pivot and do something different. And that's what we did. We pivoted to being a software company. A lot of engineers of ours went and started working with R&Ds of different companies. और वहां जाके उन्होंने Unix के ऊपर बहुत सारा काम किया क्योंकि our engineers were very good on Unix. So उस तरह से our software business started in a very small way. That time A lot of others had already started into software and HCL had not. But we started. Again, major things happened. Changes happened again. Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. Oil prices went crazy and India had no money. And Rajiv Gandhi got assassinated. So, and India had really 1 week of foreign exchange left. And for us, as a computer company, we had to import a lot of components. And अगर हम वो import नहीं कर सकते, तो business ही नहीं चलेगी. So, जब ये हुआ, तो we decided that this is a very bad situation to be in. And so we somehow managed to get LCs opened by friends in Singapore, Hong Kong. Somehow we managed because there was no dollars in the country those days, and we could not import it. So we somehow managed. But that's when we realized that we must have a source of dollar income in addition to the domestic product. And that's why the thinking started of looking at software. But in the meantime, we said we need to do something different. And we also needed to get into a higher end computers. So we created a joint venture with Hewlett Packard. And as a matter of fact, we were manufacturing a product called Apollo. And that company was bought by HP. So in a manner, we inherited HP and HP inherited us. They were going to start their own business here. We convinced them that why are you wasting your time starting your own business here? We are already in the business for the last 15 odd years. We know the market. Why don't we form a joint venture? And that was perfect timing because that's when lots of international brands were entering the country. And we actually beat a lot of companies entering the country by starting this. And since we were going to manufacture in India, we had the benefit of price. So that's what happened with joining up with Hewlett Packard. Now, when we joined up with Hewlett Packard, we learned a lot of things. We learned how a global company is run. We learned how service is delivered. We learned what is quality. So we learned a lot joining up with Hewlett Packard. And that helped us in the growth of our software business later when we deeply got into software because we really knew how to run a global company. And then, of course, something very interesting was happening at that time. You know, when things happen around you, you need to keep your eyes and ears open. And suddenly, telecom market started to open up. India had no telecom, literally, except BSNL, which was very old-fashioned. So suddenly, the central government decided they will give out licenses to newcomers to start the telecom business. We said, okay, we also want to be in the telecom business. So we also applied for a license with working with Singapore Telecom. We got the license in the south. And then suddenly, Singapore Telecom said, look, we've got too much business coming from China. We can't come to India at this moment. So our whole strategy of getting into telecom was gone overnight. Just can you imagine, we had worked for 6 months on putting the bid together. We had won the bid and we lost it. So we said, this is very sad. We were wanting to be in telecom. We couldn't get into telecom. What should we do? So we said, okay, if we can't be in telecom, let's go be in the hardware of telecom. So we went and brought Nokia to the country. And we decided to set up a distribution strategy for Nokia. Parallelly, we decided that, as I said earlier, we had to be in software because we wanted a export business in addition to a domestic business. We just can't be dependent on the domestic business. We have to have exports. We have to have dollar business for us. So we took the R&D of the company, created a company called HCL Technologies. And we started doing engineering software from India. That's the first time somebody started doing engineering software from India. All other companies like Infosys, Wipro, who had started, they were doing business software from India. We said, we'll go to the high end. We'll go to engineering. We'll do R&D for people. And that was the differentiator that we created. And we started working very, very well. We got a lot of good business. So in year 2000, we decided that we will take HCL Technologies to the stock market. But we were still not that big in software. And before coming to the stock market, we needed to have a lot of back orders with us. We had to have orders in hand to get great valuation for the company. So we came up with an idea which nobody in India has ever tried before, nor have they tried after this. But we came up with an idea. We went to 15 of our customers in America and we said, if you give us a $75 million order, we'll give you a part of our company. So we'll give you stocks in our company before we go for our listing. And you will gain all the money that more than $75 million you'll gain by valuation of your money when we go for a stock market. So we actually got 6 customers of $75 million each. And that was a huge benefit for us. We went with those orders for the stock market. We created history in the stock market. We were 12.5 times oversubscribed. We had 23,000 crores that we got from the market. It is crazy. But that's how markets are. They reward performance. And we had those 6 big orders of $75 million. And all those customers gained. Because when we went for listing, they recovered all their money. So you look at the strategy that you have to create to get business. Just the way you create employee stock options to get the best employees into the company, we took a completely different approach. We said, we create customer stock option to get customers into our business. And that's how we created HCL Technologies. It was way behind time in terms of software business as compared to Infosys and Wipro, etc., etc. But we said, we'll do it differently. And I'll tell you how we did differently. So 2000 to 2005, coming back to the telecom business, we created the country's largest distribution capability. Okay, and we followed the model that Hindustan Lever follows in creating the soap business. So we said, we will take phones to the market just the way people sell FMCG products. जो जिस तरह से सोप बिकते हैं उस तरह से फोन बेचेंगे. किसी ने इसके बारे में नहीं सोचा. सब लोग सोचते थे कि आप किसी टेलीकॉम कंपनी के साथ काम करिए, उनके साथ फोन बंडल करिए और उसको बेचिए. हमने कहा हम ये मॉडल जाएंगे ही नहीं, हम सिर्फ डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन मॉडल जाएंगे और हम इसको एक एक छोटे छोटे शहरों में ले जाएंगे. And that's what we did. We created a complete large distribution model based on the FMCG model. We had 550 redistributors and we had 110,000 points of presence and we had thousands of dealers all over the country. So, but the challenge at that time was that the pricing of the product was very, very high. So I sat in a meeting personally with the the regional managers of Nokia, and I said that, look guys, we just can't make numbers in this country at this price. You need to give an India price to us. So हमने उनको convince किया और आप उनको बोला कि अब 9,900 रुपए में एक फोन दीजिए हमको. तब 16,000 में बिकता था. So they said, ठीक है हम बताएंगे. एक हफ्ते बाद they agreed to our offer. And हमने बोला कि हम इतने बेच देंगे आपके लिए. और जब उन्होंने हमारा ऑफर एक्सेप्ट किया, we sold 4 times that number. और उसके बाद हमारे पास वो लोग वापस आए और बोले कि भाई, what next? So we said, now you give us a product price of 5,700 rupees. That's how you create markets. Because you just go on doing something very different. Nokia had never done this anywhere else in the world. But they did it with us. And so we cracked that market and we also started measuring sales just like the ODI model in cricket. So we said, हम अपना रन रेट बताइए, आपका डेली रन रेट कितना होना चाहिए. उस बेसिस पे every salesperson in the organization was given daily sales targets. And as a result, the market completely changed. We opened up the market. We took Nokia to 70% market share. They had never seen 70% market share in anywhere in the world. And we became a 8,000 crore distribution company. So that's how you look at markets. You look at opportunities. You see what you need to do to grow the market. You need to see what strategies to use to get to the market. The go-to-market strategy becomes very important. And that's what all startups should do. They should look at an opportunity, the timing, and time to bring to market. And that's how you create markets. So 2008 to 2014, we created many new markets. We created the infrastructure market in the world for the first time. We said we can manage in India, by sitting in India, we'll manage all your computer infrastructure in America or the world. And that was the first time an Indian company was doing this. So again, we took a leadership position in that. And then we started creating software business to become bigger and bigger. As I said, we were a small entrant into the software market. We needed to grow faster. So what we did was we bought about 10 companies. And we bought the largest SAP company of UK for $800 million. And we became much larger software company. We learned how to absorb international people into the company. And this is where our knowledge of working with Hewlett Packard came in. We knew how to manage multiple countries. We knew how to manage a large company. We knew what a world-class company works like. And that's how we did. So then we created the whole system integration market in India. So basically, if I look back, this is the story of HCL from 1.86 lakhs of investment to taking the companies public, to taking the companies to 35 plus countries, having employees 150,000 from 6 those days in 1975, and a revenue of $9.9 billion, around $10 billion. Okay, so about 70,000 crore ki company hai aaj. So 1.86 can create 70,000 crores. That's the way you have to think about creating a company. And that's how we have done this whole creation of the company. And of course, you need to worry about scaling. So you need to understand how to scale the market. You need to understand how to take the company global. So you need to understand what strategies to take it global. And we used a range of strategies from different kinds of partnerships to buying companies and to creating the market. And also, one important thing that you need to do when you're creating the company and want to create value for the company, you need to also worry about creating your brand. So the HCL brand was a little behind some of the others in the marketplace. So we spent a lot of effort and time. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because actually there are a whole bunch of videos that I would like to show, but it will take too long. So I don't want to get into that. I just want to tell you that you have to spend time on creating your brand. And when we started out, we put out full page ads like this. You know, we were describing what the company was. So when you're young, you have no fear. If there's anything more important than brains, it's guts. That's what defines HCL. So we said, we must tell people how we are defined. Okay. And this was not very successful. So we went into television and we did a whole bunch of things. This was done in July, August of 05. And we did market research over a period of time till 09. We went from, if you see, spontaneous awareness, 50, we went up to 80, we went up to 62, highest among all companies. And that's what branding does for you. And what does branding do? It gets you the best customers. It gets you the best employees. It gets you great valuation in the stock exchange. Okay, so you need to understand that once you created the company, you should also spend time on creating the brand. Even if you're a large company, you should spend time on creating the brand. Today, if you look at Apple, Apple spends enormous amount of time for its brand. Everybody knows that Apple is made in China. The cost of making is very low, but we all end up paying so much more for that phone. And the reason why we pay so much more for the phone is because of the brand called Apple. So that's what you need to do when you create businesses. You need to also look at how to create a brand. Now let's look at some simple fundas of entrepreneurship that I've learned over the years. I'm not going to spend too much time because I think we are already 45 minutes, right? Right? So we need to, finish in the next 10, 15 minutes so that we have enough time for Q&A. So I will give you some small fundas on entrepreneurship, and some of them might be found very basic, but I believe in these things. So how do you define entrepreneurship? Basically, entrepreneurs create businesses. Okay, that's what is entrepreneurship. And what you should do when you're starting your business should be very clear what you want to do. Clarity of vision is super important. And among the team that you create, you should create a very complementary team. And there should be deep connect within the team. And there are some other issues that you need to look at. Passion, optimism, no ego. So what should an entrepreneur do? Entrepreneur should be very clearly focused on cutting through complexities and making it very simple on what you want to achieve. And you should see possibilities. There was a bunch of entrepreneurs I met, and they had 4 ideas that they wanted to do, and they wanted to do all the 4 at the same time. I said, please don't do this. Choose one good idea and go after it. Don't spend time on multiple things that you should be doing. You should focus on one. So intense focus is important. And the other thing that makes a company and makes a startup is passion. If there is no passion in the team, there can be no company that you can form. Okay, so passion is very, very critical. You may have the great idea, you may have a great product, etc., etc. But if there is no passion in the business, you'll never succeed. And as I say, passion is contagious. These days, when we are in COVID times, talking it contagious is a little funny, but great to pass on passion as a virus. It will inspire everybody. So I think pride, passion, performance, these are all things that were part of HCL that we created. And then having good connect with the team is important. Having multitasking is what you do when you start the company. And you basically convert a product idea into a value proposition. That's what you do. And of course, you'll have ups and downs in the business, but your optimism should carry you forward. Entrepreneurs are deeply, deeply, deeply optimistic. And they make sure that even if there are bad times, they will take you forward. And this is a very bad period when you're in COVID today, where a lot of entrepreneurs are facing serious issues because the market has been closed for so many months. And a lot of their businesses are not happening. So what do you do during this period? You need to think out of the box. Think of doing some things that will work today rather than think about saying that, okay, I'll continue the way I'm doing. Or you need to have money to carry you forward for the next 12 to 18 months. Otherwise, you will not survive. So these are kind of things that happen. And during this period, having optimism is what carries your team. And I've always believed in this whole electrical engineering theory that if you hear a noise, convert it into a signal. So if you are thinking about some trend that you see a spot somewhere, you must pick up that trend at that time. Otherwise, it'll be too late. So somebody else will catch that trend. So you must look at anything that is happening at the noise level rather than when it's converted to a signal. And I'm not going to spend too much more time about ideas and things like that, because I think some of this will take too long. So fundamentally, what I want to say is that there are so many opportunities today, is that where monies are available. A lot of the startups today have opportunities to get monies from incubators, government, and low interest loans that they can get. And they have angel investing. Angel investing is very big today in the country. There are about 8 angel organizations in the country. I am in one of them called Indian Angel Network. I'm on the board of that company. We are 450 angels who have gotten together to actually invest into startups. So we look for interesting startups. And this is where things become very interesting, because today this kind of capital is available in the country. But during this COVID period, everything is becoming a little more difficult. But if you have an idea and you have a team that is so good and so unique, you will still get money. Okay, I would still invest in a great team. But the first thing that I look at is a team. If I find the people having the passion and the knowledge and the gumption to make a company, that's what I bet on, rather than looking just at the idea. So that's really what all of us as angels do. And so I think, what are the key skills of entrepreneurs? Spot opportunities where none exist. Okay. Others will say, "अरे यहाँ तो कुछ नहीं है, क्या है, अभी कैसे करेंगे?" Entrepreneur different ढंग से सोचता है. उसको ऐसी अपॉर्चुनिटी दिखती है जो किसी और को दिखती ही नहीं. And that is what an entrepreneur skill is. Risk taking is very important. And entrepreneur should always be, but I am not going to be the second in the market. I am going to be the first person in the market with this product or this service. And therefore, if I'm first in the market, I can be the leader. And you have to be very competitive. You have to be detailing everything. And remember one thing, don't be led. You must always lead. If you get led by others, then you'll be second, third, fourth, fifth in the market. But if you're leading, you'll be the first in the market and the best. So I think these are some thoughts that I had about, entrepreneurship. And I'd like to add a few more points about things that I've just discussed with you, and then I will conclude. But if anybody wants to follow me on Facebook, I'm there. And I do a whole bunch of things, and you can follow me and understand what is happening. But I want to go back to what I said earlier. A lot of entrepreneurs come and meet me and they said, हमारे पास पैसा नहीं है, लोग नहीं है, ये नहीं है, वो नहीं है. अरे भाई, ये तो देखो आपके पास है क्या? And the most important thing about it, A is greater than R. If you have aspiration, resources will happen. Okay, so your aspiration should be so high that I will make things happen. A lot of students come out of engineering colleges, universities, and they dream of this great job with Microsoft, TCS, Google, and I have all those names. My God, why do you think like that? You should not think like that, because then you will be always led. Somebody will lead you. So why don't you lead somewhere? Decide to be an entrepreneur instead. And instead of looking for a job, go and create jobs. That's what the country needs today. That's what Gujarat needs today. You don't want to be just looking for a job. You need to create jobs. So I think that is a very important area that a lot of you students out there should think about. And the second thing that I want to seriously recommend to Gujarat would be that create a very solid education base in entrepreneurship. Everybody says entrepreneurs are born. I don't agree with it. Entrepreneurs can be created. And that's what incubators are for. Incubators create entrepreneurs. But if you add to an incubator great education about what is entrepreneurship, it will make more and more people join into the entrepreneurship bandwagon. So I think that's what I would strongly recommend. After all, if you look at, there are universities in the US, like the Babson College, it is 100% only for entrepreneurs. So that's what you do when you enter Babson. So I think that is one part that needs to be looked at. The other part, we were discussing with Mr. Mahanta the other day, and we said, why can't we have closer collaboration between education, research, academia, and startups? And something interesting has happened recently. Because of COVID, lots of startups pivoted to doing COVID products. And a lot of them, in flat 6 or 8 weeks, have developed products like ventilators, products like PPEs, products like disinfecting devices, products like test kits, you name it. It's been done in flat 6 to 8 weeks. Because entrepreneurs came on board, government supported them, education research institutions supported them, and they took off. So this great ecosystem that we've created in the last 8 to 10 weeks is an example of how successful this collaboration can be if done all the time. Why should we do it only at the time of COVID? We should do all the time. And that's what's required to create a terrific ecosystem to, create more and more entrepreneurs. And I think finally, what I'd like to leave you with in Gujarat is that look at educating people to be entrepreneurs. Look at very, very good business mentoring. An incubator attached to an institute or a technology, engineering college, etc., gets great technical advice. But do they get very good business advice? I think that's what you need to add to your whole ecosystem to be very successful. Add education, add business mentoring, and I think you can have the country's best entrepreneur system. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajay ji. It was a wonderful session to have today. This was the first session in the series of special webinar. By the way, we are running a 100 webinar series in the state of Gujarat. By now, more than 3 lakh students, innovators have been benefited. Today, over 3,000 people are watching you across Zoom and Facebook and other platforms. And everybody is, wow. I mean, your words, each word was quite mesmerizing. Meanwhile, in the interest of time, I will take some questions so that some participants can get further insights. So one question is from Dr. Anubandh. I say the section is par excellence. Every word is worth cherishing. Just one little question. In the 90s was the decade of assembled computers. There was a huge price difference between assembled computers and branded computers. How did you make strategy around this?
Well, actually, we went about proving to customers that buying a branded computer was a very safe investment. And they were buying quality rather than something being made in a garage. And therefore, we would actually go and tell customers, what do we do when we manufacture a computer? We would explain the whole manufacturing process. We would explain how we buy components, what kind of tests we do, and how we use real software than fake software. And a lot of customers got convinced because of that. And of course, don't forget the brand. We created the brand. So people paid for the brand. And most importantly, people paid for service available all over the country. That's how we differentiated from assembled computers. They could sell in Delhi, but if you took it from Delhi and you took it to Gujarat, it won't get serviced. So that's how we created the differentiation. As a matter of fact, we did something very, very interesting. We put a key on top of our keyboard, and if you press that key, it will automatically connect you to the call center of the service. So that's how you differentiate.
Wonderful. One question from Priya said. She says, sir, it is a sheer privilege of lifetime to hear from you. Thanks to iHub Gujarat government for making this possible. Would you please share your experience of gut feeling? Many often you took bold decisions when the decision was not clear. From where you got those things to get it going?
Well, actually, very good question. A lot of people get very confused when they have to take a decision because they're always looking for data and more data and more data and more data, they get so confused, they don't take a decision. So I think the thing to do is that you set a timeline for yourself and say, in this period, I'm going to take this decision. Whatever is the information and data available, I'll take a decision. And on that stage, you put your gut feel and say, okay, instead of A, I will do B. And that's where gut feel comes of an entrepreneur.
Wonderful. One participant is asking, you had very less resources when you started. Still, you made and retained a great team. So initially, probably you don't have much money to offer for those people, those kind of talents to come in, but you still went to good institutions and made a great team, at least great cohort of employees in the beginning. How did you manage that?
As I said, we offered them adventure. Hindustan Lever offered them a job.
Okay. And adventure was more attractive than a job for them.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I think even today that's quite exciting for all the startups who are struggling with bootstrap money. It's a great advice for them. And people and the great people come for adventure for sure. One of the questions that comes from people is, you started very young with 6 bunch of your friends. Now, when you see 6 other young friends today comes together with an idea to you in 2020 after 30-40 years, how do you see the difference? How do you approach them? What kind of nostalgic feeling that comes to you?
Oh, any entrepreneur is always welcome in my office. So I encourage people to meet me. I talk to a lot of people. I give them advice. And I'm very happy to do that, because an entrepreneur must pass on their knowledge. You can't just keep the knowledge and go away. You need to pass it on. So I think that's what I do constantly. And I mentor a lot of companies who come in, and very young people. And the younger they are, the more interesting it makes it, So, but also I want to mention that it's not necessary that you start young only. There are new models of entrepreneurship that are emerging today, where people in their 30s and 35, 40 are also starting entrepreneurship ventures. And those are very different type of ventures. There are people who are called venture builders. And these venture builders are now creating companies, which are a very different model. And maybe some other time we can discuss it.
Wonderful. One question is coming from a startup who is attending from Bangalore. He says that HCL seems from your story had been profitable from day one, or at least in the initial stage. Every customer who came to you gave money and company made profits. These days, there are many startups who are chasing customers than profits, anticipating that day after tomorrow they can make money. What is your take on those kind of business models for startups, in which in the initial days, they try to acquire customers, thinking that day after they can make some money out of it?
I've never understood a business that doesn't make money. So that's my view. I'm very old-fashioned on that way. I feel that your business should be clearly planned around making money. It may not make money in the first year. It may not make money in the second year. But third year onwards, it must make money. It can't be like all these startups who carried on and on and on and on. And then suddenly, when money becomes difficult to get, they all die, because their basics were not right. So you look at all kinds of companies which are around today. That model is changing now. People are starting to believe in real business models where profit is made. And I was very happy to hear from you that all the companies that you have, a lot of the companies that have started with you are into $1 million type of revenue, and they're all making money. It's very good. There's nothing bad about making money.
Sir, at this juncture, I will just like to supplement that the student startup and innovation policy by default has been always focusing on solving the right problem, and also making it a viable and sustainable idea and business, looking at the impact side of what you're doing. So in that way, we can say this policy is driving a value-based entrepreneurship in Gujarat. And also the talk about HCL offering adventure to the early employees. We are making our youth adventurous by default in terms of their thinking. So in that sense, this policy is making a lot of groundbreaking work, sir. And your presence has added a lot of ideas and inspiration to our stakeholders. And going by the comments, I'm sure that these kind of thoughts are going to linger with us for a longer time until we adopt some part of it in our actions.
Sure. But spend some time on getting into an entrepreneurship education all
Yes.
over the state, because you must have institutions teaching entrepreneurship and get them to be taught by entrepreneurs. Don't bring just professors into it. Get the
Yeah.
professors to teach the basics. Teach the basics like accounting and finance. A lot of times I go to incubators and IITs, and I find that I went and saw a fantastic presentation at one of the IITs, and the product was brilliant. Everything was brilliant. Then I said, "What's your business plan?" And the answer was, "I haven't yet made one." Now that's very sad. So I think this whole idea of education is very important. People must understand accounting and finance. They must understand sales and marketing. They must understand economics. Some of these basics must be there for people to build their businesses. Otherwise, what happens is that a lot of great techies create products, but they can't sell them. They can't make money. And they need to make money. They need to understand accounting and finance. They need to know how to go and get more money from the market. So you need to teach them how to pitch their company to make money and to go get money. All these
Yes.
things have to be taught.
Absolutely.
Wonderful, sir. In fact, Ajay ji, we are in process of setting up a startup school in line with Y Combinator at iHub very soon, in which we are going to get practicing entrepreneurs to handhold these 1,500 plus teams that we have been supporting. We have already funded 2,500 teams through SSIP. They have built the proof of concepts. Now we'll choose around 1,000 of them, and very soon in June we'll launch a startup school program in which basic framework academic inputs will be given, and then entrepreneurs like you will be telling them what exactly is the thing to be done. So one side we are looking at academic approach, other side we are bringing in practitioners perspective. We are bringing in real angel investors. We are bringing in real design firms. We are bringing in real people who have worked with companies and work with them. So those are the kind of step and interventions that we are bringing in. One question, Ajay, which has come from one startup who got recently investment through your network, an India Angel network. He says that he doesn't miss your lecture wherever you do. He's still here all the way from North India. He says that, what you see, sir, when you try to invest in a company as an investee, आप क्या देखते हैं उस startups के अंदर और फिर invest करते हैं?
I think I definitely bet on people, because मुझे तो founders के ऊपर बहुत मैं बहुत सारे points founders को देता हूँ. अगर वो founder आके मुझे लगता है कि ये ढीला ढाला बंदा है, इसमें passion नहीं है, मैं नहीं invest करूँगा. He might have the greatest idea. और दूसरी चीज यह है कि उसमें कुछ leadership quality जरूर होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि at the end of the day, if the founder cannot lead, then how can he create a business?
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. So one person is asking from Tamil Nadu. He says, आपने जब ये चालू किया 6 दोस्तों के साथ, तभी आपको कॉन्फिडेंस था आप इतना बड़ा कंपनी बना लेंगे, या ये कॉन्फिडेंस जर्नी में आते गया? In the process you gain confidence till today, or you had that kind of confidence in the beginning with 6 bunch of friends who will make a great thing? How this thing happened?
Who knows? I mean, we never knew where we will go. No idea. It was just something that you actually, as I said, you keep on looking at opportunities and grab them. And if your timing is right, you can be successful. You should not miss timing. I think that's very, very important. And I always put a lot of emphasis on time and timing. Time is all about time to market. अगर आप कोई product बना रहे हो और सब उसके parallelly 10 लोग other product बना रहे हैं, आपको सबसे पहले लाना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो आप तो पीछे पड़ जाओगे दूसरों के. So I think important that you be the leader.
Wonderful. Sir, one student from a remote college in Bhuj is asking, she's a first year student. She says that it is inspiring to have a live talk with you through this iHub platform. She says that sometimes dreams and people who show you dreams are very important, like you. And she's saying that the exposure of her life has gone manifold in listening to you in last 1 hour. So how important a dream is, and how do you really get a dream bigger?
Well, without dreams, you achieve nothing. So you must have a dream. And you must set a task by which a dream and a goal which is big. Don't go for small goals. Otherwise, you'll never succeed. And if you've gone for a goal and succeeded, go for the next level. Go for the next peak of the mountain. Don't stop in the first peak. Go to the second peak, go to the third peak, go to the fourth peak. Keep on climbing. That's when you'll succeed.
Wonderful. One quick last question I will take before I move on to Madam Sadris. One person is asking from Bhubaneswar. He says that it's wonderful listening to you. He says that, sir, in the process of building this company, building great organization, great startup, sometimes we compromise our family life and other things or all social obligations. Can an entrepreneur really manage both worlds well, emotionally stable, and also making a company great and getting things happen? Or is it some part of your life get sacrificed, or any regret?
You must sacrifice your life. If you think that you're going to have a balance in your life, home and office, it doesn't work. When you're a startup, every piece of time goes into your business. And when you've gone to a certain level, then you need to stop worrying about it and worry about everything else. But if there is no livelihood, where is life?